Good evening and welcome to another edition of awakentheworld.ca. My name is Garen and this evening we're going to be talking about a few different things. We're going to start with a fairly serious one, and that is why people suffer. Okay? It doesn't really take a lot of awareness if you look around you to see that there are a lot of really confused people out there suffering. Now, we may ask ourselves a lot of questions regarding that, but there's a very good reason why it's happening. Our suffering is what motivates us to seek more, to seek a larger view, to find more meaning that validates the need for the suffering. Eckhart Tolle said something very interesting, and it's very true, and it echoes the old Zen masters of yore. I like that word, Y-O-R-E. Sounds like something out of Game of Thrones, I don't personally look at that, but I've seen enough of the stuff about it. So when we're talking about suffering, the suffering that we are perceiving is actually driving us to grow in conscious awareness. It's growing, it's driving us towards evolution, towards evolving. And that suffering is not a truly legitimate suffering, because there actually isn't. And I know that's hard to accept on the face level. Like I said in the other video, when we're beating someone over the head, they are suffering in the physical sense. But the type of suffering we're really talking here is the suffering that's going on inside of everyone's heads. Because keep in mind, those physical beatings, the physical starvation of 40,000 plus children a day, the way we treat each other is a direct result of the suffering going on inside of our egoic selves. And this is a serious thing. And despite all the talk to the contrary to what I'm about to say, and understand this, I am by no means saying that all the efforts that are being made are not heroic, compassionate, and necessary. What I am saying is that if we continue to go chasing the symptoms here in the physical realm all the time, we're only going to see more of what we're seeing, which is an increase in homelessness, an increase in crime overall, an increase in more and more people finding it difficult to survive, where life becomes purely work in order to survive. We are not here for that purpose. If you've watched most of my videos, you're going to look at this one and you're going to say, well, Garen seems to have a little bit of an edge this evening, and that is not an edge. It's more like a rocky crag, let's say. It's not an egoic thing. One of the joys of moving past the need to be constantly yapping inside my own skull is that you find that you can access whatever parts of the collective being that you are and put those to use. And this evening, I've pulled out the soldier side of myself, not from this lifetime, but from many lifetimes ago. Just a little bit, just enough to, take the nice smile off the top maybe sometimes. The one thing about being a spiritual warrior, and that's how I view myself, and it has nothing to do with harming people, nor fighting, nor warring on anyone. We are all these spiritual warriors. We all feel the pain of the physical. And again, that physically manifested pain is only representative of the internal pain. And a lot of people sit around and say, well, I'm not feeling any pain at all. I'm fine. Fake grin, mask plastered firmly over top their face. You know, I commented to my wife that I thought clowns got a really bad rap, okay? Clowns run around with painted faces. And we don't like that because they're hiding something. What about all of us running around with all these egoic masks on? I'll be this person for this person. I'll be that person for that person. And why do we do it? Because we're hoping to gain something out of those. We're hoping to be given something or to take it. To somehow take the place of that hole you feel deep inside of yourself right now. Admit it. It's all right. That's one of the parts about surrender is you have to be willing to admit that there is something wrong inside. And once you can do that, once you can recognize it, then you can decide what you're going to do about it. And the good news is you don't have to do anything at all. What you have to do is bring it into the light of your awareness over and over again. And every time you do, and every time you don't fall unconscious to that, it dissipates inside of you. That energy, and that's all it is, dissipates. You know, we as a species are suffering in numbers like never before. And quite frankly, I have to tell you from the more cut and dried side of myself, okay, it is no longer acceptable to just talk about it. All the actions we're taking today are wonderful, but they will never be able to keep up. Here in Canada alone, we spent $7 billion on homelessness last year. Do you know what we got for $7 billion? More homeless people. Where does the money go? It goes into the corporate system. Don't kid yourself. This is just one of the thousands of atrocities that we perpetrate upon ourselves or allow to be perpetrated upon ourselves. You know, I see post after post after post on Facebook of people crying out. And I have nothing but compassion for you. I've been where you are. But I'm here to tell you the way by it cannot be found in the external. It can only be found within you. The cure to every ill on this planet, the cure to starvation, the cure to no more war, the cure to no more homelessness, the cure for balance and harmony with our natural world, the cure for the disease that we are becoming on this planet lies in raising the consciousness of the species. This is the only thing that matters. If you don't believe me, stick around a couple hundred years more at the most. I gotta tell you, you know what happens to me when I'm in deep states of meditation? The whole of creation tells me, make it happen really quick. Because if not, you're going to get knocked back to the Stone Age. Why? Because we're just not getting it. And I may seem a little stern, and I do apologize for that, but at the same time I don't, because you know, I think we've all been told this time and time again from the dawn of time. We have an opportunity before us like never before as a species, and it is going to take us all to do this. So tonight, I want to I want to beg all of you, anyone who watches this far in the video, I'm begging you, share this with every person you know and ask them to share it with every person they know. Contact the spiritual leaders you know, contact the religious leaders you know, contact people who can help set this up and make it happen. And let us, for once, work together as a united whole. We have this power. You know, we think of ourselves to be so small. We produce weapons of mass destruction and clap each other on the back at what we've built. Ego is sick. It's not evil. We are not evil. There is no original sin. Put that thought out of your head. You were born here a divine being, and you will leave here the same divine being that you are. I've died twice in my life. There is no guilt trip on the other side. And if you die and you find yourself in hell, it's only because part of your ego feels you need to be there. And I swear to you, in the moment you think that you no longer want to be there, which will be instantaneous, you'll be in what you would call heaven. Our state of mind, our perceptions, our choices, consciously or unconsciously, are building and creating every moment of every day. And we right now are creating mass destruction. We right now are creating mass suffering. We can end it. But we have to do it together. It's time to throw the labels out. I don't care what you believe. I don't care who you believe in. I don't care whether you believe me or not. Fine, but take a chance. Give it a shot. We can raise the consciousness of the entire species and do the one thing that we are here to do, and that is to grow and evolve together as one unified people. You know, I don't want to have to think up another excuse for why another day goes by when I can't stop 40,000 children from dying of starvation. And despite the fact that through the grace of the sea of consciousness that we live in, everything is made perfect, I don't want that suffering. That's my choice. What's yours? Because I'll tell you something, there's no sitting on the fence on this one. You don't choose, you're making a choice. Choose. You might as well consciously choose. Determine which side of that do you want to be on. And help to raise consciousness on this planet any way you can. Raising consciousness is truly all that matters. Running around trying to band-aid solution everything is not working. And we know that, okay? The military-industrial complex that rules this planet, and if you don't think it does, why are we building new weapons of war when we cannot clothe and feed and shelter people within our own borders? The powers that be want things to keep going just the way they are. And in case you haven't figured it out yet, it's all about taking more and more and more personal freedom and control and power away from you. All of us. Every year, more and more taxes are demanded. More and more programs go unfunded. More and more money is spent. And yet, every single issue only magnifies. The war on drugs has cost the taxpayers an untold number of dollars and amounted to absolutely zero. As a matter of fact, it made things far worse in so many ways. Are people actually cognizantly aware of the percentage of the population in the United States that's in a jail cell? It's higher than China. You know, I know in my heart of hearts that everything's going to be all right, ultimately. But we have the choice right now as individuals, as families, as groups in neighborhoods, as church groups, as the followers of Eckhart Tolle, as the followers of Oprah Winfrey, as the followers of the Pope. It doesn't matter. It's time to take the labels off. We do this. Think of the insanity. We all carry around these little pads of sticky labels. And before we're 10 minutes into a conversation with someone, we've pasted them so many times over, you don't even know the person's there anymore. And the next time you run into that person, you don't see them. You see only those labels. Those labels are a lie. Nothing we can ever tell ourselves, nothing we can ever say about ourselves, nothing we could talk about or communicate about in any way that involves our thinking mind or this physical realm can ever define the magnificent spiritual beings that we truly are. And that's what we're here to remember, to make whole again. Not because our highest self is fragmented, but because we are a fragment. You know, I see a glorious future for humanity if we choose it. And that future will come, regardless of what happens in the next decade, 2 decades, 5 decades. But there's a lot of suffering between right now and what we would call then. And it's our choices. It's our thoughts. It's our words that are making it happen and making it continue to happen. You see, like I pointed out in my video on the fact that this physical world is nothing but a monument, a remnant, okay? As long as we keep putting energy into those things we see in front of us, Nothing changes. Things just get worse. We put in more energy, it grows. More money, it grows. The cycle is as plain as day. It's been written throughout our recent history. You just look at the last 50 years of what's happened through the major economies of the world, and it is there as a roadmap of where things are going. We need to raise awareness. We need to change the thought processes. We need to change the actions we're taking. And it all begins with that change in consciousness, with that conscious awareness, an uprising of awareness that you are more than you ever dreamt you were, and that you are inseparable from anyone around you. And that is just the very tip of the iceberg. Again, if I've come off a little bit too firm, I honestly don't really care tonight. I got to be honest with you. This is far more important than bruising a few egos over some of the things I may have said. Who am I to do this? I'm a person who's been responsible for causing a lot of those problems throughout the years. A lot of that pain. Which, of course, has caused me pain. This is what you do when you wake up. You wake others up around you through your gifts in the best way you can. This is my gift to you. It's also my solemn plea that we really do spread this, that we really do start contacting the people who can reach millions and put the responsibility onto them to start making that contact. That's all for tonight. My love to you all. This is a dear issue to my heart. It's the reason I exist here right now. And, you know, that soldier side of me just wants you to know, if I have to, I'm going to grab the entire of the human race, the entirety of it, by the scruff of the neck and throw it into the next dimension if I have to. But I really would like to do it this way. This is the way that we can all just do it together. And we have this power. For the first time in history, we have the ability to unite this entire planet as one. No more borders. No more religious differences. No more differences based on skin color or belief of any sort. We can do it. Namaste.